I am tired of all these streaming apps.
Oh my God, what's wrong now?
$10 a month, $20 a month, and if you get the no ads plan, it's suddenly triple.
Ugh, yeah, that hurts.
I just want to listen to music without worrying about costs, shuffle it, hear surprises, pay less.
You can.
Wait, what?
This.
Oh, wow, I forgot this song even existed. What app is this?
No app. That's 98.9 The Bull. That's called radio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power. The show that is really all about building a better life. And who doesn't want that, right? That's why we do what we do. And so every week we get together to talk for an hour about one element of how we can all build a better life. We hope that it resonates with you. And we hope to give you some practical tips on how you can kind of do some of these things in your daily life pretty quickly. Who's we, you may ask? Well, if you've been here for a while, you know who we are. But if you're new, welcome. And I am JDK Winnikin, and across from me is my trusty partner, the one who makes this really go, right? The straw that stirs the drink, the gas in the engine, right? The air in the fan. It is Ashley Kniebel. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
I always like to throw you off right at the very beginning.
That's such a unique introduction.
I know. Well,
I've trusty partner.
Well, I've done a bunch of partner. That was pretty good. The Wild West. It kind of is.
Kind of.
Yeah. I'm just envisioning you with a 6-shooter now.
Oh, it's a great look.
The big 10-gallon hat. That works. We'll have to come up with that. Anyway, some visual. How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. Of course, still reveling in my football team's
He's still wearing Seahawks for those who are on radio.
Yes. No, they aren't on radio. They can't see it. Those who are watching on our stream is what you meant, I think. Oh, she's glaring at me now. Wow, if you are watching our stream on our YouTube channel, Staying Power Show, you can see Ashley giving me a look that she actually gives me quite often. It just doesn't normally happen on the air. Anyway, yes, I'm wearing my Seahawks stuff, but you're repping too. You have your
my own team.
Your own team. Your own Harry Potter team.
I am wearing a Slytherin Quidditch hoodie.
Yeah, there you go.
My team.
There you go. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So, Ashley, let's jump right into today's subject. Today's topic is one that you suggested, and it's anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of anticipation. And this was a really fun thing for me to look into because, of course, I do the research thing,
Obvious.
right? But about anticipation. So, do you kind of want to lay out what we're going to be talking about a little bit today, or kind of where this came from for you and build off of that?
I can do that. Yeah, it kind of started, I was having a conversation with, people, because that's what I do in life. And I do. Well, that's where we get our ideas from, right?
Right.
And I happened to notice that there was kind of a consistency in the topic of things that was coming up. And these are all from people from different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like I was talking to like two people at the same time, It just happened to be that in both instances, when I was talking to them, they were sharing with me that life just kind of feels like a little bit of a drag, and it's been exhausting, and it just feels like that there's no end to it. And I gave them the idea of like, well, this is what I've done, because I have obviously been there. We've all been there at some point where it just feels like a slog, and it's just like, is there ever going to be like light at the end of the tunnel?
Rinse,
or whatnot?
repeat.
Any change in this? And I was like, I have found for me that it helps to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like your workout after work or happy hour with friends on the weekend. I mean like a legitimate, you have thought this out and planned it and purchased or, signed the deal or like booked the trip or whatever it is. Like to have some sort of break to look forward to that is going to provide you some relief from what you're going through right now.
Right. Kind of breaking up the monotony, giving you something to do different.
Right.
That kind of thing. All right. So you noticed that, right? Now, so do you have anything coming up that you're anticipating?
I do.
You do?
Well, yeah. That's
did it stand out for that reason? Because you had something that you were looking forward to and you were noticing other people didn't?
Yes. I mean, because I had been there before where I think I went for a period of like 5 or 6 years without taking a vacation. I never used my PTO at work. Like, never did I take more than like 2 days off in a row. So, And when you are in something like that, and it was a build phase, and it just took a lot of dedication and time. But I did notice the exhaustion felt more exhausting because there was no break.
Oh.
And then I started intentionally booking trips, maybe like one per year, one every 6 to 8 months or something like that. And in variance of time duration, but to have that to look forward to. So right now I'm going on a cruise to Mexico coming up soon. So obviously it's something I'm looking forward to.
Ashley is a cruiser, for those of you who are new to the show.
I have learned that I enjoy them.
You do.
I'm a vacationer in general, but
You
I
are.
do like cruising.
And you like to plan these in advance. You've had this plan. You've had this on the books for a while.
Yeah, about 6 or 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's the point, is to have something to look forward to. And it doesn't have to just be like a trip like that. It can be other things too, which we'll get into later in the episode. But that's what I had started doing over the last few years, is like booking something. And, maybe it is far out in advance, but oddly, the time passes, and the time since when I booked this to when I'm going is very, very quick. And it has changed so much for me over the last couple months to be like, I have something that I'm really excited to do. And I'm working towards that instead of just working to, I don't know, the fog of it all.
Right.
Made a huge difference. So I was telling that to them of like, maybe you should, look into something in the future that you're looking forward to. Right.
And then the way this went, just to kind of let all of you know how this went, was Ashley brought this up, and I thought, that's a really interesting topic, because we've done topics before on the importance of kind of the drudgery, recognizing we did it around kind of the holidays. Remember, we were talking about, okay, not everything can be the holiday, right? Is kind of have to on some level accept and work with, and really, if you can, embrace the routine of things. Yeah. This is talking about where that hits its limit, and one of the things that can actually help with us accepting that routine. Yeah. So now, really quickly, just to, and this might take some exploration right on the spot. When over the last few months you've had this planned out, and listeners know you've had a really stressful handful of months, right? Work stuff and that type of thing. How has having this, what does it look like and feel like to have had this on the books for this long? What happens when you think about it? What does it do for you? What, I'm not sure if you've ever assessed that.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, I have, because people often have asked me, like, are you excited for your trip?
Right.
And I would say, like, shortly after booking it, when I still had 6, 7, 8 months before it was going to arrive, it was nice just to put it in the back of my mind of like, okay, I've got something coming up that I'm excited for, that I know I can probably count on it being a great time and a break and just a change in pace, and that early on, it just kind of was something that nestled in the background, and I didn't really think about it. And then as the time has come up over the last few months, then, we're like 4 months away, 3 months away, 2 months away type of thing. And the anticipation has grown. And of course, me being me, I'm like, okay, what am I going to wear? What am I going to what books am I going to bring with me? Or what am I, so then I start thinking about that. And I noticed that the hard didn't seem so hard. I guess, in
just
a way.
In that moment, or
just
does
kind
it
of
extend out?
Like,
general?
it started to really extend out, and I'm like curious, like, why is this? Just because I know I have this thing to look forward to, and I'm sure that's part of it. But then I also realized, looking forward to that, I was focusing less on the stress. I wasn't thinking, after work, sitting there stressing about the day or stressing about the next day or whatever. Yeah. Instead, I was like, oh, I could transition my focus onto something that brings me a little bit more joy and brings me some more excitement. I really noticed that change.
Well, and like you said just a minute ago so well, the exhaustion doesn't feel as exhausting. Yeah. So it kind of replenishes a little bit or reduces the amount of stress. Yes. Was that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I would actually counter and ask you a question too, because we talked recently that you are in a transition of occupation as well. And you mentioned recently that the difference in how you felt all of a sudden having something that you're like is going to be totally different. It's going to be a challenge, but there's so much consistency with it. And you're looking forward to it. And it's not a vacation. It's going to be more work. It's going to be like a learning curve. It's going to require a lot from you. But I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine having that to look forward to has changed something in your stress as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we talked about it last episode. I think definitely there is that. The nice thing Well, first of all, to really answer that question first before I add a piece. Yeah, it does. It gets me excited to think about, right? In part because I love to learn, and I'm going to be learning a whole bunch of new stuff. And I always like that. And, it involves helping people. I'll talk more about it in the weeks ahead as I kind of get my feet under me. But I am excited about it. I'm excited about the environment I'm going to be in, the people that I'm going to be with. Yes, that does help. The anticipation of that starting gets me excited because it's different than the survival mode that I've felt like I've been in for the last 18 months or so, right? Trying to scrape something together and always wondering, when is one of these cogs going to connect, right, and move things forward? That is starting to happen. The nice thing, too, on top of that, though, since you're mentioning trips, one of the things I'm going to have again is availability of vacation time. And I'm going to have more of the means to make something like that happen. So the excitement about that part has me kind of doing something similar where I'm like, oh, what could I do? And my big number one bucket list place to go before anywhere else is Japan. I've wanted to go to Japan my entire life. It's actually well within range, or will be soon. So I can actually start planning it, not just thinking about it. I've known for a long time what it is I want to do, where I want to go, what I want to see, but it's always been sort of the dream sitting out there, right? Sure. Rather than I can start thinking about this and, putting pen to paper and, start thinking about finding flights and where do I want to go and stay and those types of things. That part feels really good. And so as I've been kind of digesting all of this new stuff, it's a similar feeling to what you just described. It reduces the stress. And as I talked about last time, noticing my stress levels were so high and I'd normalized them for so long, exactly what you're talking about has helped reduce that stress, but also it's helping me create a new normal, that includes some anticipation.
Nice.
Because when you're in survival mode, you don't really have the ability to anticipate too much.
No. Well, because that takes energy too.
It does.
All those emotions that we feel take energy.
It does.
And if your energy is so depleted,
right,
even wanting to feel the excitement and embrace that feels like work. It just feels tiring.
It does.
Like, there's no point.
It does. And it can feel really fleeting. Most of the things that I've gotten really excited about have just sort of occurred. Right. I know we've been having a lot of fun at my expense around the Super Bowl, but that was something that just sort of arrived, right? You don't really plan that. Your team makes it and you're like, holy cow, this is fun. And then they win. You're like, holy cow, this is even more fun.
The cows are getting holier.
Right. And that's right. And that's great. The cows are getting holier. Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. I'm not sure that has ever been uttered in the history of the English language.
Is that a pun?
No, it is not. But I think you just created one. That's the thing. God, you are a genius. Anyway.
Noxious,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
But my point is that just sort of arrived and was a wonderful surprise, right? And yes, I've enjoyed that. Does that reduce stress? Does that get me more excited? Yes, of course. But we're talking about, with that comes the stress before that, right? Before the team plays, Ashley can't contain herself laughing. So yeah, just let her run. She'll get it out of her system. When you're like leading up to your team playing in the championship, you might have anticipation, but you're also nervous they're going to lose.
Sure.
You want them to win, but you don't know if they're going to win, right? So there's a element of stress, sports stress that comes with that. And, and then when they win, you're both excited and also relieved.
Right.
Right?
Jeez.
So
systems crashing all over the place.
Systems crashing all over the place, right. And so I think that part is important too, is that the things that kind of come up, or when someone in the past has done really something kind, hey, do you want to go to a hockey game with me tonight? I got an extra ticket. I've been able to get excited about that.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the same thing. Like you can have anticipation in the moment. Hey, yeah, I got to change my schedule. I'm going to go meet my friend, watch hockey. That's fantastic. And that's wonderful. That's a great stress relief. It's a great way to feel connected. And I've been so fortunate that the last 18 months that I have such a great network of people in my life who look out for me and who have helped me out and who have offered things like that, just to give me a chance to have a break. That part's great. What I'm excited about this, though, and what we're talking about today is intentionally setting, I am going to do this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to plan it. It is not going to, and I think it's important to make the distinction now. It's not necessarily around holidays or big events.
Oh, 100%.
Because holidays, even birthdays, but definitely holidays have expectations so often that come with them.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, we do this. On the 4th of July, we do this, right? Halloween, we do this. And everybody can fall into place. Even if it's family or friends, we all kind of find our slots that we're normally and historically have always, quote unquote, fit into.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about things that are around that. Now, we could be like planning something for a holiday that is different, right? But we've talked about that before on the show. That can disturb things, right? That can disturb things, right? When families are like, wait, what do you mean you're not coming for Christmas, right?
You're doing your own thing.
You're doing your own thing? Yeah, exactly. So I want to make sure we're clear on that part.
I mean, one of the conversations, to give a little more context, that I had with one of those people recently is she's going through a rough spot with her job, and she was just saying, like, it just feels like work is all encompassing, and that's the only thing she has going on in life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about. That has been me for like the last 3 years. And her and I went out and listened to like some live music, and she was like, I haven't been out like this in a while. Like, thank you so much for inviting me out. This is so much fun. Yeah. And she's like, it really just kind of broke things up. And she's like, this reminds me of how much I enjoy doing this. Yes. And I'm like, there is so much great live music out in this area of town that I encouraged her. I'm like, figure out if there's a certain band you enjoy, a certain type of music, or if it's cover band or whatever. And I'm like, look ahead and see who's coming to the area.
Absolutely.
And then plan it and book it.
Yeah.
And, it might be like a giant concert coming like late fall, but who cares? Something to look forward to. Something, like you said, it doesn't have to be like a huge trip. And it doesn't have to be the holidays. It can be just like a one evening event.
Yeah.
It could be a comedy show. It could be a theater production. It could be anything like that. Yeah. Or, maybe you've had your eyes on a restaurant that you're like, it's, like going to be a 5-star restaurant experience, and I want to treat myself to that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's
do
a good
it.
one. That's a good one.
Plan it, do it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely. And I think what we'll talk about, I know, coming up on the other end of the break is some of the things that we will put in the way of that, right? Sometimes it's cost, right? That type of thing. And so, those things do matter, right? And we don't always have the ability to anticipate, or build things out the way we want to. Mm-hmm. My last 18 months is a good example of that, right? Sometimes it's just not in the cards. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when I think about looking back on the last 18 months, I wonder, like, okay, what were the things I could have perhaps intentionally planned out that weren't high cost, right? That were something that I could save pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters for, figuratively and literally. I think all those matter too. So this isn't exclusive to people who have the means to plan stuff. Right. It's an encouragement on how to build these things out intentionally so you can enjoy the anticipation. And what you won't be surprised by, longtime listeners, is the neurological and physical benefits of anticipation are very real, in the moment. You don't have to wait for the vacation, for example, to experience the joy of the vacation. All about those. Of course, because that's what we do. Because that's one of the things we're stressing here is all this stuff is innate. All this stuff is in us, right? We don't have to manufacture it. Okay, let's take a break here on Staying Power. When we come back, we'll talk more about this subject. We will also have our weekly segment, which this week is the 2 minutes of triumph. We'll be back in just a second.
Imagine home. The smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face. Free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of U.S. states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Don't ask me to talk.
There's a lot of talk out there. Political talk, sports talk, girl talk, trash talk, and so on. But there's only one, Don't Ask Me to Talk, helmed by conversational off-roaders and podcast pals Eric Ryder and Stacey Heller. They follow every tangent they encounter, from cultural blind spots to their infamous weekly Wheelo topics. Listen wherever you listen to your fave podcasts. Subscribe and share too. Or tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KKNW.
Alternative Talk 1150. Talk radio for the body, mind, and soul.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
And we are talking about today the joy and the power of anticipation. Intentionally planned things that we can anticipate. And what we're going to talk about here in this next segment is literally how this benefits us and why this matters so much. But before we do that, let's do our weekly segment where Ashley and I each take 2 minutes to talk about something that happened in our week, talk about how we responded to it, all in the name of getting to know each other, helping you get to know us, and being open and vulnerable and connected, which is really what building a better life is all about. Here we go. 2 minutes of triumph. Money.
Is that for Chinese New Year?
Hey, whatever works. I love that.
Love that.
Cha-ching. Okay. That's a triumph. Ashley, what do you got? Hey, you went with the cows are getting holier. Come on now.
Because you said holy cow like over and over again.
I know. Oh, did I? Yes. Is that why? I just thought you just pulled that out. Anyway, that was last segment.
I am that good. But
okay,
anyways,
you are that good.
I am so excited to report that I have been so incredibly sore and so bruised, and I'm so thankful for it because that means I have been very consistent with my workouts and my jiu-jitsu training, and it feels so great to have those very much nestled into my schedule and my routine now, and they have been very consistent over the workouts especially over the last few months, and then jiu-jitsu's been woven into that as well now, and it feels so nice.
That is great.
I have missed it so much.
That is great. That's a big deal. For those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that Ashley is very high up in the jiu-jitsu world in terms of her belt and all that, and she's been doing it for a while, and it's a really important part, but it's been tough for you the last year or so to really get in there and to make it consistent. Yeah. So that's got to feel good.
Feels so good.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Is it helping everything else too, like sleep, rest, stress, and all that too?
Yeah, I would say it definitely has improved my sleep because I'm very exhausted and tired by the time I get home and cleaned up and curled up in bed. And it has, I feel like, improved my eating habits also.
Yeah, I bet.
Because whenever I train often and I train hard, all I want to do is just eat very well, very clean.
Sure.
So I've noticed improvements, yeah. And then there's just something about having those in-person connections with people. One, I get to train with my girlfriends, which is so fun. But you're also in close contact with other people because of the actual act itself.
Right.
Which does something for people.
Right.
Helps build connections. So it's been an A+ all the way around.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I know that's a big deal for you. And if you follow Ashley on social media, you'll see she's been posting more about it lately because she's there more often. So that's great. Well, I know that's a big deal. So congratulations. Mine actually has to do with sleep. I have not slept better in the last 18 months than I have in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah. My sleep is getting much more quality. I have an Oura ring, not sponsored, but feel free, Oura, if you'd like to, that measures my sleep and all the things that go with it, right? All my biorhythms, those types of things. And sleep has been, I won't say elusive, but it has been very much up and down. Like I've had days and small stretches where I've slept well, and then other times where I don't sleep well. You know, when survival mode can produce things like sleeping too much or insomnia, insomnia tends to be more of mine. And what mine would look like is just trying to go to bed but not being able to sleep.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
It is the worst feeling. And so that's been tough the last 18 months. So it's been up and down. And of course that has a direct effect on all the things you just mentioned, right? On diet, on exercise, on effectiveness of those things. And the last couple weeks, and I think ties into, the career change and things like that, and that coming up, that anticipation, if you will, has helped me sleep better, right? And so all my metrics are improving, right? And it's kind of fun to open up the app every day and see high numbers on your sleep and your readiness. Wow, your sleep number is higher, is higher than usual. To what do you account this, right?
Yeah.
The computers want to know like what's happening. And so that part has been good. And the effect of that has been great because it's helped my stress levels going down. My heart rate is getting back to, a better baseline.
Nice.
All those things. More clear-headed, making better choices with food. It's unbelievable. Sleep is such a bedrock of everything that we do. So to feel like I'm getting back to a good baseline with that is a major triumph.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I have a random question for you.
Sure.
Based off of what you said. When you have insomnia, do you still just lay in bed and roll around until the insomnia goes away and you fall asleep, or do you get up?
I do not get up if at all possible. I don't turn on a screen.
Sure.
The only thing I might do is if I decide I want to go with some music or like a meditation that I haven't listened to, I'll pop my headphones on and I'll open up the app or whatever on my phone and just get something going. That's the only time. And then I really just try after a while to just stop fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have had moments in the last 18 months where it just every once in a while I'm like, okay, well, I'm up.
Right.
And usually that's when I've slept for a little while, then I wake up and can't go back to sleep.
Gotcha.
Because that can happen too.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do then, interestingly enough, is more often be like, okay, well, the gym opens in 30 minutes. I'm just going to get up and go to the gym. Yeah. And hope that process will help me, tire out a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And the way my schedule was for the last 18 months, it was so flexible, right? I could move things around that if I needed to tuck in a 2-hour nap, I probably could. So that's what I would do. But that still jams you up. Still not as good as an overnight sleep with circadian rhythms getting thrown off. It's still not great. Anyway, how about you? Do you get up?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not very often I have insomnia, but I certainly have had a few nights where, you lay down and all of a sudden your mind starts racing around. And before I was like, okay, I'm just going to lay here and do what I normally do. And eventually my body will just drift itself off.
Don't try to sleep.
Right. And it'll just do its thing. And then I have had times where I'm like, this thing is not doing it. And then I'm like getting myself more stressed out, fighting myself with the fact like you're supposed to be sleeping right now. Well, now I'm not sleeping. Well, now my mind's racing. And why is it racing? And I will be like, you know what? I have trained my body that when I'm in bed, I sleep. And my body is telling me right now it is not ready for sleep. I'm not going to put it there. And I will actually get up and like go somewhere else that matches what my body is asking for.
Yeah.
Which is usually like some place I'm doing something active.
Right.
Not like running, but I mean like, on the couch reading a book or like in the kitchen, or I'll go somewhere else that matches what my body is asking for. And then eventually it will like settle.
That's smart.
And I get tired. I'm like, okay, I'll go back to bed. And then
That's
I go
smart.
back to sleep.
That's smart. I like that.
Thanks.
I like that. That's really creative.
It's worked.
That's good. That's great advice. I'm going to try that next time that happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Hopefully, yes, but if it does.
Hopefully it never happens. But, okay. All right. Thanks for that. All right. So let's get back to this idea about anticipation. What I like about, Ashley, what you've put forward here is we're talking about the difference between just responding to life as it's happening and actually taking some initiative and putting meaningful things to ourselves forward. Now, in order to do that, we do have to sort of know what is most meaningful.
Sure.
Always brings us back to values. What are the values that you have? What are the ones you really want to embrace? Some of this is like zest for life is part of that, but also connection could be relational building. All those things can matter. So the psychology of this, though, what's so interesting, Ashley, is that this is really powerful, as it turns out. The power of anticipation, it's not a distraction. Anticipation by itself actually produces measurable increases in our everyday happiness. Measurable, right, in the brain. There's a landmark study by a scientist named Jerwin Najin that figured out that people often experience more happiness anticipating a vacation than during the vacation itself. Okay. You laughed at that. Does that make sense to you?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. How so?
I mean, because in the anticipation is you are envisioning all the joy and excitement and fun and adventure you're going to have. So it's almost like you are living it in present day because you're creating that environment in your brain and you're thinking forward of, at least for like me, when I'm looking at something like what am I going to pack? What am I going to wear? What am I going to bring to read? Or what am I going to bring to do? And I mean, don't get me wrong. The actual trip itself is great. It is nice to actually be able to shut off and relax, disconnect from some of that stuff. But it is so true. There's so much power in the envisionment of your future that is coming.
Yep. That's exactly what boosts our mood, right? The planning of something, the countdown phase triggers all those parts of the brain that enjoy things like doing something new. So that's the thing. So if we think about that, it was like, oh, I can't wait for the vacation because I'm going to do this and this, and it's going to feel this and it's going to feel this. That's all true. But I think what we're getting at here is that you can embrace the buildup.
Yes.
And do the same things. Like, I'm really excited about this. Maybe you spend a little bit of time looking at the place that you're going to go to, or, spending, like, I like to do things like I'll go and find out what the weather is in the location in that moment of where I'm going. And if there's like a webcam somewhere, like a live webcam, I'll find it. I'd be like, show me the webcam. Yeah, it's really funny. I had a friend not too long ago. She took her kids to the Greek islands.
Nice.
And to Mykonos.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been there, and it sounded really cool. And so they were like, on their way over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and found like some webcams on Mykonos, and they were several at like the biggest tourist spots.
Yeah.
And I turned them on and I watched them. They're like 9 hours ahead, right? So it was like, if it was daytime where I was, it was nighttime there and vice versa. And I could see what was going on. And I never waited for my friends to walk in front of it and wave at it. But nevertheless, I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm looking at this. This is really cool. Like, that looks amazing. Are you going to go see that thing? Like, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, I'm on webcams. I do that all the time. That's really fun. Like Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, near where I grew up. I love to look at the webcams they've got
that's
there.
cool.
Stuff like that. But that is part of what we're talking about, right? We tend to think that it's the event itself that gives us everything that we need. The good news here, as far as the brain and the body are concerned, it is not distinguishing between the two.
Right.
So getting excited about that has immediate benefits now, just like going and relaxing. It actually helps you unwind. It begins that process. And it actually research shows that by anticipating well, the way we're talking about, like indulging in the anticipation, you actually increase the benefit of the actual experience too in the long run.
Well, it's kind of like we've all felt that anticipation where you find like a really good gift for somebody and you're like, oh, this is the most ideal. This is going to be perfect. They're going to love it. It's going to be the best surprise when you plan something out for somebody else. And the anticipation leading up to them receiving the gift or the moment or whatever it is. Like, you're so giddy and you're excited. You're like, I need that day to happen now because I'm so excited for what they're going to experience.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fun. Because if you think about it, if the brain's releasing dopamine and other chemicals anytime we have feelings like this, but it doesn't release it more for the reward than it does for the anticipation of the reward. And that's the cool thing. And if you think about what dopamine does, dopamine is about two things. It's about motivation. It gets us excited, motivated for something, feels good. And then about forward movement at its best. Now, we can get dopamine hits from things to numb ourselves out, and that's not necessarily about motivation or forward movement, right? That's just sort of like tapping on the basic thing to numb ourselves out.
Right.
That's why the intentionality of this is what matters so much, right? Now, you could get excited and intend, I'm going to watch this television series that I have never watched before, that I've wanted to watch forever. I'm doing that right now, actually. It's kind of fun.
Oh?
Yes. Breaking Bad.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yes. I've never watched it. And it's like, my friends who are big TV fans are like, what is wrong with you? This is like one of the greatest shows ever. And I'm finally getting around to it. But I've intentionally said, this is what I'm doing. And I'm actually watching it with a dear friend of mine who's in the same situation. And we're kind of going chunk by
very
chunk.
Cool. How fun.
So we can talk about it. It was like, okay, we're only watching the next 4. And the next time we talk, we're going to talk about those 4. And it's kind of fun because we're like texting each other. Okay, I'm almost done. Are you almost done? It's kind of fun. So you can do it for that, but also right there's the connection with the friend. We're going to talk about this. So anyway, all right. So this is the thing. Anticipation is neurologically as powerful as the event itself. Okay, and so planning it well and planning it in advance and really digging into that is really helpful because anticipation, expanding our time perspective, like you mentioned, Ashley, it breaks up the monotony of the stress, right, and the exhaustion. It increases our sense of hopefulness and our belief in hopefulness, right?
Oh, yeah. That is actually huge because we probably all know somebody that thinks life is very bleak. There's not a lot of like really big, exciting, sunny days ahead, and it looks very gray for them. And
absolutely.
A lot of times when I look and I'm like, I wonder when was the last time that they, did something that was so fun.
Right.
That they treated themselves to an experience that they probably don't deem themselves worthy of having.
Right.
And maybe that's why.
Or they can talk themselves out of.
Yeah.
Right. For whatever reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely true. And of course, if we don't have things like that, we can just ruminate. We can just kind of fall flat. It's like what you were talking about in those conversations at the top of the show, research in positive psychology, people like Martin Siegelman and others, hope is strongly tied to the belief that future events can be positive, right? So what's the best way to be positive about what's happening and what's happening in the future is to do things and plan things for the future that are positive, Hard to believe, but we do kind of talk ourselves and reason ourselves into these things and feel ourselves into these things. If we intentionally plan things that bring positive hope, we're going to be more hopeful. If we don't do that and we think that everything is, going terribly and is inevitably going to slide off the, the edge of the world, chances are we're going to be more pessimistic.
Sure.
It's an inside job, right, in this sense. And so much of what we talk about on this show is about intentionally recognizing our own ability to really make these things happen for ourselves.
Well, you have to also, as you said, it's an inside job. You have to deem yourself worthy of having them.
Yes. God,
A lot of times people are like, oh, it's too expensive, or just like, it's not worth it, or, it's a fleeting one-time thing. And it's like, you got one run. One.
That's true.
At this. And I know sometimes people, they say cliche things, but you really have one run and you don't know how long you got.
It's true.
So why in the world would you not do things that are fun and enjoyable once in a while?
Right.
When you actually probably can do them.
Right.
They're not that far out of reach.
Right. And I know there's all these different things that can get in the way. It's like, okay, I don't have the money. Could be one. Also, I've seen plenty of people who have the money who aren't willing to part with it because they're worried about not having enough of it, right? And I think I mentioned on the show not too long ago, a friend of mine once said, when the hearse goes by, there's not a U-Haul behind it, right?
Very, very honest statement.
Isn't that great? Yeah. And so you can't take it with you. So it doesn't mean you should just spend recklessly, because there's obviously importance in savings and security and all of that. But what is money for except to provide options, opportunity, which can include security, but also can feed life, right? And frankly, if you don't want to spend it yourself, right, on yourself because you don't consider yourself worthy or whatever, give it to somebody else so they can, right?
JD's volunteering as
tribute. Yeah, exactly. Somebody want to send me to Japan? Come on, bring it on, right? All right. But that's the thing, because if we don't plan those joyful things, the calendar fills up with obligations.
It does.
It does.
It does.
Right? So all those things together, I think that's the important point that we're trying to stress here, that all of this is within our grasp, right? And so as we start thinking about moving into the next segment, going to our next break, here's what I would ask everybody listening or watching to be thinking about is, okay, if that is all true, if you can embrace this, what we're talking about as possibly true, what comes to mind immediately of the things that you can begin to intentionally plan? And what does that look like? And take into account everything we just talked about. The availability of funds, the availability of time. How can you make funds available? How can you make time available? Who do you want to do this with? It can be by yourself. One of the things I love to do is plan when a movie's coming out that I want to go see by myself.
That's a really good thing to do.
It is. I do it quite a bit, actually, because there's certain types of films that I want to just absorb, right, and sit with, and then talk about with somebody else. I know, it totally is. Yeah, okay, well, all about being known. All right, so when we come back from our second break here on Staying Power, we'll start getting into some practical things, practical tips, as always, that you can kind of take with you into your week, start trying out, and see what happens for you. And make sure you let us know by reaching out to us how they're working for you. We'd love to hear about that and talk about it in the future. All right, so we'll be right back here again on Staying Power. See you in a minute.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, JD, do you want to have a better life?
Yeah. Doesn't everybody?
Yes, we do. How do I go about doing that?
A good place to start would be listening to our new show, Staying Power.
What's it about?
It's about all the ways we can overcome the challenges that we sometimes put in front of ourselves to live a better life.
Where can I find it?
You can listen to it on 1150 AM KKNW every Wednesday at 4 p.m. and Fridays at 9 a.m. or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's do this together every week on Staying Power.
Be sure to support the sponsors of your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We are talking about the power and really the necessity of anticipation, of building towards things that we can look forward to. And hopefully we've stressed the point enough that the anticipation is just as important as far as our body and our minds are concerned and our health is concerned as the event itself, right? So really indulge in the anticipation. Mm-hmm. So let's talk, Ashley, in this last segment about practical ways that people can do this. Sure. And so where would you start?
I would actually start with a little bit of where you left off on the last segment is, if you know of somebody who kind of like where you were in the last 18 months where you're like, I know that they maybe are in like a transition and they can't afford to do a lot of things and they need to just for their own health and sanity. Mm-hmm. I would say if you're in a position where you can, gift them an experience. Like people are like, I never know what to buy for their birthday. I never know what to buy for Christmas or whatever, or a just because gift. But it's like, buy them a certificate to a head spa. Oh, yeah. Buy them a certificate on Ticketmaster. Yeah. So they can pay it towards creating an experience. Yeah. Buy them a certificate to a nice restaurant, or help somebody else the little nudge to create that experience and help give them the opportunity that maybe they can build off of if they themselves can't do it entirely. Because sometimes that little nudge is what you need. Like I used to like never go get facials, and then one day I got a certificate to a place, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? I never go. And then one day I was like, you know what? I should use this. And now I'm like, I don't know why I never did this beforehand, but like it kind of helped open up a new opportunity for me. And now I found it's something that's really relaxing and really enjoyable. So just a little like tidbit and a little helpful. People out there, you're trying to figure out what to do for a gift idea for people like that.
That's great.
Help them create the experience by giving them a little nudge in that direction.
Absolutely. I think that's a great piece of advice. Yeah, that's really good. And I would add to that, these can also be for you personally, things that you can build almost on the daily, right? You're talking about a retreat day. Like, maybe you're giving that to somebody else. You can do that for yourself, right? I mentioned going to the movies by myself. Right. When I see those things are coming out, I will plan those in advance and I look forward to it, right? I love when films that I've seen a bunch of times, some anniversary comes up and they re-release it in theaters for a day. Yeah. I love to do that. Right. Yeah. That's super fun. But it can even be something like, I know, Ashley, you love to make sure you find time to sit down and read and cozy up and do it in a certain way, right?
Yes, I do.
That can be something too. You can develop some of these things for yourself intentionally on the daily that can be really great with that. I mentioned watching Breaking Bad. One episode a night.
I mean, I did that with the Harry Potter movie.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. That's great. Sometimes when I'm looking for like a little break and just a little bit of joy, and we've talked many times before on this show about like what that does for me, like the little inner child joy that I feel when I'm watching those movies. And oddly, it was, I think last year at locally Benaroya Hall, they were doing something where they were playing one of the movies and they had a live orchestra doing the music.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about so many
that's
cool things all in one. Like so many of my favorite things all in one experience.
That's really
doing
cool.
Something like that. But that all started from me watching and reading the Harry Potter series. Yeah. And that has created such a whole experience that I never anticipated.
That's so cool. I've never done that, like the orchestra playing for a favorite film.
You haven't?
No, and the Star Wars ones is the ones I always think about.
I saw that one.
Oh, did you?
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
So worth it.
Yeah, see, that would be
so
amazing.
Cool.
That would be amazing. I would love all of that. So, see, that's cool. So that gives me an idea because I need to do
You're welcome.
That. All right. So, and other things, planning a hike if you're an outdoors person.
Ooh, a sunrise hike.
Yeah, where do you want to go, right? Or is there a class that you would like to take, right? A short one, right?
Yeah.
One that's over a period of time. What would it be on? And where would you do it? Right? When would you be able to do it? Carving those things out. I mean, it's so easy to say I don't have the time. And yet, as we've talked about on the show before, maybe we need to come back to, time is what you make it, right? That's a cliche for a reason, right? And yet it's very true, right? Whatever we make time for is what our priorities are,
right?
So there's that. It also doesn't have to be big. Right, in all of those things.
No.
So, Ashley, what do you think would be like a good, how would you do like the ideal way to like maximize anticipation, right, in your life? Would you plan a bunch of stuff out in advance, like way out? Would you plan like an assortment of them?
I would do an assortment. I think I would do lower cost things in the short run of it, you know, like clear out an afternoon where I'm only doing nothing but reading and curled up on my couch or, you know, whatever, something like that. Or if you're in an area where the weather permits, you know, like pick a day and go for a hike or something that doesn't cost anything. It costs you time, doesn't cost you funding, right? But I would then plan out things into the future. Like, so I've started actually doing this because I have learned that I enjoy enjoying life, oddly. And so I start looking over like the year of like, okay, who's coming to concert? There's a calligraphy class coming up. I'm like, would be so fun. What a lost art. Who knows how to write like that? Nobody.
No kidding.
So how cool would that be to do something like,
that's
you know,
cool.
things like that are just a little bit out of the norm.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting. And especially, I learned this from jujitsu, but especially when you're in a very high stress time of life, doing something that's brand new that takes all of your focus is the biggest break that you can give yourself.
Absolutely.
Because if you're learning how to write calligraphy, that's all you're focused on. You are probably not thinking about anything else.
Right. And a new thing like that engages both sides of the brain. It engages the problem solving and the logical side that looks for steps and results, and the artistic side. Yeah. Right. That is creative, that is kind of figuring those things out, and engages all the parts of the body that create muscle memory. All those things. That's great. See, this is one of the reasons I love hanging out with Ashley, everybody who's listening, because she thinks about these things intentionally more so than anybody I know. It's really true. It's true. And what's worth noting is there's a concept called layered anticipation, that if you can layer things out and have, like, the general rule of this is have something on the horizon all the time that you're looking forward to, but layer it out. Have something that's a week away, have something that's a month away, 3 to 6 months. What that does, if you can get to that point, is you're getting to go, oh, okay, wow, I'm excited about this, right? And you get to ping pong between all these different things. And then you can keep adding in the weeks. And the weeks could be like, I'm going to take this Friday night, I'm putting my phone down, I'm not going out anywhere, I'm going to sit down and make myself a nice dinner, I'm going to read, I'm going to sit and relax. I do this.
Such a JD move.
Totally is. It's the best.
So on brand for
you. It is the
best.
best. It is so cool to like plan something where I'm going to make this nice dinner for me. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to even sit here and look at it for a minute. Because I do. If you make a nice meal for yourself, I do sometimes.
Are they going up on the gram?
Sometimes. I don't like putting it up on, I don't know, because everybody does that, I guess. Every once in a while, I will, though. If I'm really proud of something, like the presentation or something like that, I always send you pictures of my food. Like, look what I did. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty fun. All right. So, and in how to do this, I think it's important to ask yourself questions, intentional questions, right? How does this affect who I am? Does this energize me? A good one is, would I choose this if no one expected it, right? What are those, what are those things? Like, I can have fun with that too. It's like, what's the thing like I could do that people would be like, what? Never thought you would do something like that. Yeah. Not because it's
like
weird.
Another
but
tattoo.
Right. Another tattoo or a calligraphy class, right? I never would have pegged you for a calligraphy class, but now that you talk about it, it's like, oh, okay.
Totally. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's interesting because then you can start writing.
Right. It's so like, it's such an art
to
be able to do that. So, keep in mind. But I could jokingly say tattoos because one of my assistants at work, she is very much into tattoos, and that's what she does is she, plans out hers and she draws them up and she changes it over a period of time, and then she books the appointment, she goes and gets it done. Nice. And it is so fun to watch the anticipation for her building this little countdown online, and she's always talking about it and showing me like the pictures and what she's doing and the stories behind the art that she created and whatnot, and it's so fun to watch that. And it's so her. It's so perfect for her. Yeah. And so it can it literally can be anything. We've done like potlucks with friends before, like dinner nights where we planned them out, like, okay, this day next month we're all bringing a dish, and it's so fun. Yeah, it is really fun. And the word that comes to mind for me with that you just described is savoring. Savoring the anticipation, right? The build up of getting the tattoo, designing it, tweaking it, thinking about it, when am I ready? And then booking the appointment, looking forward to that. And the thing about savoring is, if you think about it, when we savor a meal, right, or we savor a moment, what is that about? It is being present. It's recognizing this is where I am,
right? Even me savoring the moment of presenting the food I just made for myself to myself, right?
Yes.
Savoring requires you to be right here,
Yeah.
right? Because you're actually intentionally stepping away from everything else and enjoying what the moment is, even if it's looking forward to something. I love that kind of layout, right? With
There's
that.
2 other examples that come to mind that I've seen online, and I think they'd be so fun. I've seen one where you host a party where everyone wears an outfit that they have no place to wear this outfit to. You know,
That's fantastic.
so you get all sorts of, whatever. It's the one item in your closet you have no place to ever wear it, but you're still hanging on to the outfit.
Oh,
so
my
you wear that.
goodness.
Or I've seen where either it's like different themes. So like everyone is tasked with a country and they're supposed to bring a food that represents that country, or they're tasked with a color. So they have to bring a charcuterie board that all the food is the one color they're assigned, or like just different fun things like that. It's so fun.
That is cool. That's
see
a really
those
great
different
idea.
things.
That's a really great idea.
But yeah, I mean, and it can be as large or as small as you want it to be, but it's so fun and creative. And then also to see what other people come up with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's great. And that's one of the areas where social media can be helpful, right? Another area will be is like, let people know you're doing something and then, savor the countdown. Put it out there like, oh, this is only a week away now.
Right.
Here's what I'm thinking about. Or here's what I'm oh, it's time for me to think about what outfits I'm going to take or what I'm going to buy, right? If I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I think allowing people to, go along for the ride with those things can be a really big deal. It's really important that we don't rush past that part.
Right.
That we don't rush past. Because if we don't savor, using the food analogy, people always comment about how fast I eat. And I do. I eat like somebody's going to take the plate away from me.
I can attest. I have bore witness to this.
It's crazy. It's like I savor the moment. Here's what I made for myself, and then I'm like
vacuum.
I'm like a Labrador retriever, right? That just goes and goes. And I'm trying to work on deliberately slowing down, right? Because to savor.
Should I get you one of those like little baby forks?
Yeah, that'd be so good. That would be so good.
Force you to eat with that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I literally am working on it because people are like, "Oh my gosh, you eat so fast."
Yeah, which is surprising because you do really enjoy good food.
I do. I enjoy good food. I enjoy making good food. I appreciate when people do make it, and there's like this eagerness that just goes. And I just. It's horrible. So I got to work on that myself, right? See, it's not just about what we can share with you. It's about what we can do, for ourselves. So all those things together, and I think this doesn't need to be overcomplicated, right? It doesn't have to be around a milestone, right? We tend to wait for milestones, a lot of things. And I get that can be fun, right?
Sure.
A big, a birthday with a 0 at the end of it, right? Oftentimes is kind of seen as such, right? It also doesn't require a big event like a promotion or, some big change in life. Of course, that could be good. And here's the one I would like to stress the most, Ashley. It doesn't require anybody else's permission.
It's very true.
Right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't. And that can be uncomfortable for people. Like if you're wanting to do something and it's going to collide up against some expectations that other people might have for you that you don't want to have for yourself, it can do that. But it does not require permission. Right? And so what would that look like if you didn't require permission from anybody to plan these things? What would it be, right? So, all right, well, we're running low on time, right? Coming up on this. So some questions to reflect on, do you have something on your calendar right now that excites you? I know Ashley does.
Obviously.
I do with my new job starting, but beyond that, I don't at the moment. I actually have a friend coming into town in a few weeks. I think that will be great.
Cool.
I need to spend some time on that. But it has me thinking, like, what am I, going to anticipate? So that's another one. What small thing could I do or could you do or could any of us do over the next week? And really, the last one I would suggest is, are you waiting for a holiday to feel alive?
Right. You should not wait. You
Right.
are the holiday, so
Right.
you should be celebrating.
You are. You hear that, everybody?
At least that's how I see myself.
You are the holiday. I love that. We're going to end right on that spot with that. Actually, you've had a few of those drops today. It's been amazing. You always have at least one where I go, wow. And today there was that was pretty good. So thank you so much, Ashley, for bringing that in. That's a great topic. Thank you to all of you for listening or watching. this episode of Staying Power. Remember, if you missed any of this episode and would like to catch up on other episodes, you can find this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch our show on our YouTube channel at Staying Power Show. And you can also reach out to us via email, stayingpowershow@gmail.com. Also at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. At all those locations in the show notes are all the ways you can reach out to us on our social media feeds as well. We'd love to hear from you. And we have more stuff on the horizon coming in the weeks ahead. And we're excited to share that with you. We look forward to seeing you next week when we'll talk about another way you can build a better life. And we hope it will resonate with you then, just like today, hopefully it did. Mm-hmm. And we anticipate seeing you then.
That's right.
I'm JDK Whittaker.
I'm Ashley.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.